the shadows into the light that glows. Step out, step in, let the journey begin. Break free from the chains, explore what still remains. Walking through the unknown, find strength in seeds you've sown. Leave behind the familiar, embrace what's exterior. Step out, step in, let the journey begin. Break free from the chains, explore what still remains. Restoration guides your way, every night and every day. Potential waiting within, it's time to let life begin. Step out, step in, let the journey begin. Break free from the chains, explore what still remains. Walking through the unknown, find strength in seeds you've sown. Leave behind the familiar, embrace what's exterior. Step out, step in, let the
Are you ready to take the first step to embrace the unknown and step out of your comfort zone? Welcome to Step Out, Step In, the podcast that inspires you to break free from your familiar to explore the extraordinary. Hello, this is your host, David Gio. Every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, join me as we learn stories of personal growth, daring adventures, and transformative experiences. Get ready to be motivated, inspired, and empowered to live your life to the fullest. So mark your calendar, set your alarm, and get ready to step out, step in with me every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss out on the adventure of a lifetime. Subscribe now, and let's step into the unknown together. This is Step Out, Step In. The journey begins here. Step Out, Step In podcast, live on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribe today. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're watching from. And I want to welcome you to episode 79 of my Step Out, Step In podcast, live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And, due to scheduling conflicts, it's usually streamed at 6 p.m. But tonight or today, I came on a little bit earlier, 4 p.m. And we want to get into this together. And once again, thank you for tuning in to episode 79 of my Step Out Step In podcast, live on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page, I want to humbly ask that you do subscribe to it. Click on the notification bell and don't forget to share, comment, and what else? Anything that would spread the news. All right, and follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And tonight, or this evening, or this afternoon, depending on where you're watching from, we want to get into a topic. You know, this is a podcast where we take intentional steps towards growth, empowerment, and living a life of purpose. And I'm your host, David Joe, and today we're diving into a topic that affects every single one of us, whether we know it or not, whether we realize it or not. It affects every one of us, and that is the topic influence. That is the topic influence. So just do me one quick favor. Just share the link with somebody. Let that one person also share the link with another person, and let's do this together. And we're going to talk about influence this evening. And influence is something that we all carry. It's something we all carry, and in fact the definition of influence is defined as the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone. You know, it is the capacity to uh, to have an effect on the character, development, and behavior of someone. So we all have the ability to impact somebody's life, to change somebody's life, to or somebody's behavior one way or the other. And whether in our families, our workplaces, in our businesses, our communities, or even in our daily interactions, the power of influence is always at work. Now, one of the questions I keep asking is, are you using that influence for good? Are you using it for good? Are you intentional about the kind of impact you're making? And today, I want you to join me as we get into sharing about 5 key points on how we can harness our influence for a greater good with some timeless truths from scriptures to guide you and I along the way. You know, as a person of faith, I like to back it up with scriptures. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, let's step out in and see how influence shapes us and how you can shape your world, our world, this world around us. Stay tuned. All right, again, good evening or good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, depending on where you're watching from or where you might be watching the replay from. I welcome you to episode 79 of my Step Out Step In podcast, and tonight we are talking about influence. Influence. And I said earlier that influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or the behavior of someone. And tonight I'm going to deal with 5 keys. And so let's get into it. Let's get into the 5 keys. You know, number one is influence. The first key is that influence starts within. Influence starts within. That is the first key. You know, more often than not, influence, we all think of influence as something external, something other than, or something that others do to us, or something that we exert on others. You know, most of the time that is what we think. But influence starts within. You know, in reality, influence begins with your internal world and your thoughts, your beliefs, your character. That is where it begins. So let's look at a scripture that really supports this. And let's go to Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 23, which says that above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. It says, above all, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And our influence on others is a reflection of what is happening inside of us. It is a reflection, you know. And if you are harboring negativity, if you're harboring doubt, if you're harboring fear, that is what would influence the people around you. One thing about me, I can stand people that are so negative. You know, I said the other time that people are so negative, they get into a dark room and they come back developed. You know, this generation will not understand, but back in the days, that was how photography was developed. You put in a film in a camera, and after you've taken a shot, you take it to the lab, and in the dark room, it is developed, and they develop the negatives, and out of the negatives, they print out all these photos for you. You know, so whatever you're harboring inside is what you use to develop or influence the people around you. But if you cultivate love, if you cultivate integrity and faith, you would spread those values instead. It starts with who you are on the inside. That is why that matters a lot. So tonight, I just want you to take a moment to reflect. What are you filling yourself with? Reflect on that. What are your thoughts aligned with the person you want to be? Because that is where your influence begins. That is where your influence begins. It starts from within. So the second point I want to talk about tonight is influence requires responsibility. Influence requires responsibility. You know, we often underestimate just how much our words, actions, or even our silence can affect others. I always tell people that I've come to the place in my life, in a position in my life, that I don't joke with words. You know, sometimes we throw out certain words carelessly, but words do matter. Words are powerful. You know, and we of course, we often underestimate how much our words, how much our actions, and even our silence can have effect on others. With influence comes a great responsibility. With influence comes a great responsibility, ladies and gentlemen. We see this clearly in James chapter 3. You know, as a person of faith, I want to back it up with scriptures. In James chapter 3 and verse 1, it says that not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. Says we who teach will be judged more strictly. You know, this verse speaks about, or speaks to the responsibility that comes with being in position of influence. And whether you're a parent, whether you're a leader, or simply a person people look up to, you are influencing others. I always say that every one of us has a leadership ability and capability on the inside of us. Leadership is not about, it's not a title, it is not about position, but it is about influence. And at any given point, I believe that somebody will be looking up to you. Somebody might look up to you. And being a parent or a leader or simply a person that people look up to, you are influencing others. It is essential, ladies and gentlemen, to be mindful of how you use that influence, because it can either build up or it can tear down. It can build up or it can tear down. Think about it. Your influence can build up or it can tear down. So ask yourself, am I being a good steward of my influence? That is a question that I believe we have to ask ourselves each and every single day as we draw breath. Is it something that I'm using to influence others positively? Am I being a good steward? Of course, a steward is a caretaker. A steward is somebody, a manager. And God has entrusted you and I to be managers of anything that He's given to us. And am I being a good steward of my influence? Am I using it to encourage, to uplift, and to guide others towards truth? Gradually we get into a dispensation where truth is being replaced by falsehood. Now lies is being replaced by the untruth. Lies is lies. And we cannot replace that. But when you speak the truth, the Bible talks about you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You can be set free and not made free, but when you're made free, you're really made free. So, am I using it to encourage others? Am I using it to uplift others? Am I using it to guide others towards truth? Or am I being careless with my words and actions? Am I being careless with my words and actions? So influence, again, requires responsibility. And once you have that level of influence, you're going to be held responsible and accountable for what you do with that influence. The third point for tonight is consistency. Influence grows through consistency. And this is key, ladies and gentlemen. Influence grows through consistency. Influence is not something that can happen or happens overnight. No, it doesn't. It is built over time through consistent action. Now, I believe that people are watching you every day. Whether you like it or not, people are watching you. and they are looking for reliability. They are looking for someone they can trust and someone they can count on. In Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9, let's look at the scripture real quick. Galatians 6 and 9, it talks about, it encourages us, and it talks about, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Think about it. Consistency is our actions, whether in kindness, whether in truth, whether in love. It creates that legacy of influence that others can follow. Now, think about what you are known for. What are you known for? When your name is mentioned, what do people attribute you to or for? What are you known for? And if someone were to describe your influence, would they say that you are consistently kind, you are consistently generous or truthful? Or are they going to say the opposite? And building Influence means staying the course. It's not going to come easy or cheap. Even when it is hard, when you go through those challenging and difficult moments, you have to stay the course, ladies and gentlemen. Stay the course. Influence grows through consistency. And number 4, the fourth point for tonight is influence is amplified through service. Influence is amplified through service. Now, I believe that we all have been called to serve. Jesus, the greatest example for humanity, taught us that true influence comes not from a position of power, but it comes from a heart of service. Let me say that again. Influence comes not from a position of power, but from a heart of service. And the reference scripture is Matthew 20, and from verse 26 to 28. It said, "Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant." The 27 says that, "And whoever wants to be first must be your slave. But just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many." This is so amazing. The second of the Trinity. He said he did not come to be served, but he came to serve. So when you serve others, ladies and gentlemen, you gain a deeper level of influence because people see that you genuinely care. You know, there's this saying that people don't care how much you know, but the people don't care how much you know, but how much you care about them. And service breaks down barriers and it builds trust. So in other words, he's teaching us, or Jesus is teaching us from the scriptures, that in order to go up, you first must go down. So you go down in order to go up. You know, so service breaks down barriers and it builds trust. It shows that your influence isn't about you, but it is about lifting others up. And when you look at the life of Jesus throughout scriptures, that is what he did every day. Even when that woman who was caught in adultery was thrown to him early in the morning, he did not condemn her. After all her accusers had dropped their stone, they were ready to start a rock concert, and whatever he wrote in the sand, they all dropped their stones or their rocks and they left. He did not condemn her. He was always lifting people up. And that is what you and I have been called. You know, we're getting into a generation or a dispensation where politics, let me put it this way, I hate to go that route, but politics is making a lot of people so bitter. We are swaying away from where we can lift people up to the place where now we are putting people down, demeaning them, defaming them, you know, being so bitter about people. But the most important thing is if you and I can lift others up, and those we lift up can also lift people up, this is going to be, the world is going to be a better place, ladies and gentlemen. So how can you serve the people in your sphere of influence today? Whether it's lending a helping hand, offering encouragement, or simply being present. You know, sometimes when your presence alone speaks a whole lot, it speaks volumes, you know, just being present and not say anything, and it speaks volumes. And your service can have that lasting impact, what you do for others. So influence is amplified through service. You know, Maya Angelou said something, and let me quote that
she said, at the end of the day, this is Maya Angelou's quote. She said, at the end of the day, people won't remember what you said or did. They will remember how you made them feel. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I have. People will not always remember what you said or what you did. Yes, sometimes, yes, our memories will get stuck on some of the things that people do, but you always remember how people made you feel. Selah. I just paused a little bit just for it to sink in. So influence is amplified through service. And the fifth point, the last but not the least, is influence should always point to something greater. Influence should always point to something greater. Let me say this, as believers and as people of God, our ultimate goal is not just to influence others for the sake of ourselves, but to point them towards God, the ultimate. Jesus said in Matthew 5 and verse 16 that, let your light so shine before others. Other versions say that, let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works or good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So in other words, whatever you're doing should point towards God. He should get the glory, not you, not me. The glory should go to Him. So as we journey through this world, as we journey through every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year, one of the things that we have to encourage ourselves is, let your light so shine. You are the light of the world, the salt of the earth. And if you let your light so shine before men, they will see the good deeds, they will see the good works. And remember, you were created for good works. So as they see the good works in you, who gets the glory? It is God who gets the glory. So influence points to someone greater, that is God. So your influence is not just about you. It is about reflecting the love, the grace, and the truth of God in everything you and I do. When people see the way you and I live, they should be drawn to God, not just to us. Our lives should be more attractive. I know, yes, I know. A lot of people haven't really advertised Christ well. We haven't advertised God well, but I believe that you and I can always make a difference. And moving forward, our lives should make God attractive. When somebody sees you, when somebody sees me, what is it about me? What is it about you that attracts you to God? So who and what does your influence point to? Who and what does your influence point to? So, are you leading people to do something that matters, something that can last or is lasting? Or are you doing something, are you influencing people in the opposite direction? That's the real power of influence. And that is using it to make an eternal impact in the lives of others. Ladies and gentlemen, watch the space. right, again, thank you for tuning in to episode 79 of my Step Out, Step In podcast. And the topic for tonight is influence. Just before I sign off, let me do this real quick. I just want to also introduce my spiritual father and my bishop, Dr. Franco Fosopi, every Tuesday on YouTube and Facebook on the Ambassador of Hope. He's live, and join him every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember to invite a friend, a family member. You can also invite your frenemies, you never know. And if you haven't subscribed to his YouTube page, please remember to do that as well. All the videos and all the past teachings are on there. Click on it and share, comment, nice comments though, and let's do this together. It is worth, if it is worth hearing, it is worth sharing. All right, and I also personally want to invite you, if you're looking for a Bible-believing church, family-oriented in Northern Virginia. We're located at ANC Banquet Hall 12596, Darby Brook Court in Woodbridge, Virginia, and the zip code is 22192. If you have family and friends within this area, Woodbridge, Quantico, Stafford, Lawton, in that surrounding area, please send them over our way. We can wait to meet you this and every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so we'll be looking forward to seeing you this Sunday and the subsequent Sundays as we journey through this year. All right, so with this said, again, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight on episode 79. I wish I could see those that are logged on, but I'm still working on it. Please pray for me. Sometimes I'm technologically challenged. I'm still a work in progress. That's one thing that helps me to develop myself, since I know I am work in progress. All right, so as a wrap up for tonight, this episode 79, remember that influence is something we all have. You have it, I have it. It is not reserved for a selected few, no. We all have it. It is part of our fabric for our daily lives. But you and I have a choice. You and I have a choice. We have the choice where we can use our influence to build up, or you have the choice to use it to tear down. And what is your choice? Are you going to use your influence to build up, or are you going to use it to tear down? And we have a choice to use it to encourage others or to discourage others. Are you going to use your influence to encourage or to discourage? That is a choice we have. And we all make choices each and every single day. And are we going to use our influence to point others towards truth, love, and grace, in spite of all this political, whatever is going on? All right, so I want to challenge you this week. I want to throw a challenge to you this week, that you reflect on these 5 keys that are shared. That influence starts within. Influence requires responsibility. Influence amplifies. Influence is amplified through service. Influence grows through consistency, and influence point to let me correct this, to someone greater, that is God. This is a challenge I'm bringing your way. And after you reflected on it, can you drop a comment on any of the social media platforms or feed or YouTube, you can go under this episode and share your comments. And how will you step out and step in to your influence this week? That's another challenge. Think about it. What intentional actions are you taking or can you take to use your influence for good? What intentional actions can you take or are you going to take to use your influence for good? And again, thank you so much for joining me tonight on episode 79. And if this episode encouraged you, please be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. And until same time, due to scheduling conflict, I might switch over to 4 p.m. or depending on the day. But just be on the lookout. And once you subscribe, click on the notification bell so that anytime something is posted, you will be notified. So until same time, God willing, next week, remember to step out in faith and step out into the purpose God has for you. This has been your host, David Joe. Have a wonderful, amazing, fruitful, and a very productive week. And to say again, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Again, thank you for tuning in. God bless you.